This is the Primordial Wave, and I am the Wisdomizer. Please click the subscription button and subscribe to this channel. Today, I am going to discuss modern science and occult practice, how particle physics, particularly, is beginning to dabble into what you might call occult, dark, esoteric, magical practices, and how they are utilizing this knowledge, this esoteric knowledge, science, to access the other dimensions and opening portals or doorways to these other realms that is not accessible by man using physical senses, right? So many people who are into mainstream thinking, who have been programmed by the mainstream thinking, will reason there's no connection between science, particle physics, and the occult, because particle physics is science and occult science is pseudoscience. That is how many quote unquote scientists who are move along with the mainstream society will view it. But just go back in time, just go back in history, and what you will find what we find in history is that knowledge used to be one centralized. This compartmentalization of knowledge, where you have mathematics here, you have physics here, you have astronomy here, you have biology here, you have philosophy there, you have anthropology there. All this split of knowledge is new on this planet. And the reason why they decided to break into segment knowledge is, again, to control people. It's like divide and conquer. Because now, instead of understanding reality as a comprehensive whole, you segment them, you compartmentalize them, you break them apart. And breaking them apart means you find people who are concentrated in this field, and that's all they know. Somebody who is mathematically inclined, has nothing about metaphysics, does not understand the world beyond the physical realm. Somebody who claims to be an anthropologist does not have interest in religion, for example. But if you go back to ancient time, knowledge was not split in this form. Knowledge is one. So in those days, people go into the temple and spend years upon years, sometimes 40 years, 30 years, being learning about knowledge, learning about the world, learning about matter, learning about everything, right? So modern man, I believe, is more de-evolving when it comes to his idea of what knowledge, true knowledge is. And again, in ancient time, knowledge is esoteric knowledge. What you call sciences today came out of the mystery school of the ancient time, right? Whether you study philosophy, mathematics, right? Physics, these were called occult knowledge in ancient time. And this knowledge was taught in temples by only initiates, people who have access to this inner circle of knowledge. But as I said, modern world has split knowledge into segments, and that segment is a way of watering down information. So, having said that, let's talk about how particle physics is dabbling into dark magical occult. And of course, some of these scientists will not tell you what they're doing. They will not tell you they are diving deep into occult practices, into magical practices, and opening realms that transcends this physical dimension. In history, we know for a fact that many scientists have been occultists. Many of the renowned world scientists and thinkers have been occultists. Even if you go back to the period of the Renaissance, for example, in Europe, most of these people who were great thinkers were occultists. They were hermeticists. They practiced ancient religious esoteric um, uh, esoteric knowledge. They understood esoteric knowledge coming from antiquities, right? And that was how they gained the light, if you like, the enlightenment, right? To um, begin to advance the world into the next stage. So you cannot separate occultism from knowledge. We don't just know that. Many scientists have said, including Thomas Edison, who invented electricity. It was his magical practice, it was his occult practice that led him to have that knowledge. And few people don't know this. Many people don't know this. And so are many other scientists. Charles Darwin, for example, came from the tradition of secret society. So many other people. So the reason these modern mainstream scientists don't claim what they are doing, they don't claim that they're occultists, is because it is not scientific. It is not seen as scientific, right? Not that they don't understand that it is occult. They understood it. They understood that certain practices they are doing are very occult, but it's not conventional. When you say it, mainstream media will make fun of them, and most of them might even lose their means of livelihood, and that is why they don't voice it out. But when you decode their practices, when you decode what they're doing, they're purely doing magic. It's magic, it's occult. So in the border between France and Switzerland, European power elites, the European top scientists, in collaboration with their governments, have come together to build a machine, an equipment they call Large Hadron Collider. The Large Hadron Collider, according to the information in the public domain, is meant to study the world of atom. They want to understand the behaviors of atom. They want to clash atoms and then study the impact, right? In order to come out with a postulation as to how this universe came to be. At least this is what they're telling us in the open. But we know that what they're telling us is not actually what they are doing, right? We understand what they're telling us and we want to hear what they're telling us, but we also want to take it further and decode what they are not telling us and what actually is going on. So I'm going to share my screen briefly. You can take this conversation from there. This is a topic we are going to be talking about today. CERN and Lord Shiva, science and the occult. Science and the occult. These two throughout history has always been together, but modern man trying to deceive every other person, trying to deceive the world. Modern scientists try to deceive the world has come to, when I say modern scientists, I'm talking about the elites who program education. They have separated this knowledge, compartmentalized it, and people no longer understand that most of this knowledge has to do with occult practices, right? And in this modern time, I'm going to show you how they are beginning to go back to these occult practices using particle physics to crack the code of the universe and open dimension, if you like, the spiritual realm, using science. And the same practice that many people who practice dark magic do as well. For example, we know that in the early 19th century, one of the British arch Satanists who called himself the Beast 666, his name was Aleister Crowley. He went to a desert in Algeria in Africa and performed certain dark magic and opened a realm. He opened a dimension and invited a demon or an entity called Corozosm. I think this demon was called Lord of Hallucination, invited from a different realm into this physical reality, right? And we know that certain things begin to change in the world from that encounter, from that access that this guy gained from this other dimension. So the same thing is what these modern particle physicists are doing. In the name of science, in the name of science, they are opening the forbidden gate. They're opening this gate, which naturally, because some of these people don't have what it takes to access these dimensions naturally. So they have to invent a synthetic means of ascending to these other higher realms, right? They have to invent a technology, kind of taking shortcuts through these other dimensions that they are forbidden to access, right? So um, so why we put this picture here is this is a picture of Shiva in the Indian pantheon. In the Indian mythological pantheon, we see that Shiva is the god of destruction. One of his triple powers is the god of destruction. And we know that CERN, or this European organization, agency that built this Large Hadron Collider, has the picture, the statue of Shiva in front of this establishment, in front of this building, right? So what are they trying to prove to people? Because people don't pay attention. People are interested in other things, entertainment, in football, right? They don't pay attention to what is going on. So why would they put the Shiva? If they are science, why are they interested in Shiva? And who is Shiva? And if you understand that Shiva is literally Satan, right? Shiva is Satan, right? They put the picture of Shiva in front of this project they have. So if these people are purely scientists, why are they interested in religion? If you like, in the occult, in the mythical Indian occult, why are they interested in that? Because these elites understood exactly, they understand exactly what they are doing, understand exactly what time it is. It is the masses who don't get it. You know, this is part of, this is a segment of that machine they built in Europe, in the border between France and Switzerland, the Large Hadron Collider. This machine is sentient. This machine is intelligent. This machine can do what human being ordinarily cannot do, because the atoms are invisible to the human senses. You cannot detect atom with your naked eyes. So they need certain equipment. And this kind of project has been going on for a long time, but by far, this is the largest of such project ever taken on this planet, right? To create this large, massive particle accelerator and to clash atoms, to collide atoms, and then study the impact upon collision. And what they want to do is like, well, we are studying this impact and we are going to come out with a postulation as to how the world came to be, right? How the universe was formed. But apart from this normal scientific explanation, there are other things that are doing that are very dark, very magical, very hideous, if you may. So who is the initiator of this program called this program? Who is the organizing power behind this project? It's called CERN, CERN, and that is a French acronym. In English, it should stand for the European Council for Nuclear Research. So obviously, what this means is that this agency, this organization is a research-based organization with top scientists, top particle scientists, the best of the best, right? And as I said, many of these scientists are occultists. They wouldn't tell you that. They wouldn't tell you that because it's not conventional. And they would not even like to tell the people actually what they are doing because they like to keep the sheeps in the dark. So CERN is the brain behind the invention, behind the creation of this machine that is beginning to crack open the other dimension, right? In essence, magic is what they're doing. occult magic, right? So why is it important for them to create this machine? Because, as I've said, human senses, our sense perception is limited. The human sense perception is limited to access, to penetrate the nature of reality. You cannot detect atom with your naked eyes. You cannot do that. So you need the help of machine, you know. And this idea of man not being able to understand the nature of reality has always been at the foundation of philosophical argument as well as scientific argument, right? It's called epistemological um, argument. How do you know that you know? And how do you know that what you know is true? And how do you know that what you see is true? How do you know that your eyes is capable of feeding you back accurate information about physical phenomenon, about the world, right? On a bright day, if you come out, you're going to see the sky is blue, but when you go there, it's not blue. So there's obviously optical illusion. Anyone who is interested in reading should read a book by, I think, Michael or Talbot. Michael, is it Michael Talbot? Yeah. The book is called The Holographic Universe. That book describes exactly what I'm trying to say, that the physical, the human five senses of touch, of smell, of hearing, the human five senses is incompetent in grasping the nature of reality. So what we see is things as they appear and not things as they are, right? So, and that has led many philosophers down through the history, many thinkers, to postulate that nothing is real, that the world is an illusion, is a phantasmagoric projection, is a false illusion. What you see out there, you think you see in a tree, is not there, right? This sounds crazy until you understand the reason why they are making this kind of assertion, and you find out that they are right to some extent, because everything is vibration, everything is in constant motion. We've seen philosophers down to history saying that nothing is static, everything is vibrating. You look at a tree, you think it's permanent, but you discover that when you are able to observe that tree from, or a rock, from an atomic um, molecular base, you find out that it's vibrating. It's vibrating. So there's no solidity of matter. You know, that I'm drifting, but so the point why they are building this kind of machine is to help them to decode the nature of reality. Why? Because if you look at this diagram, right? Say from this point, gamma ray, for example, from this point to the end of this line, say this is the nature of all reality that exists. Let's assume from here to here is the nature of reality that exists. What is available to man, to human perception, is only a fraction, a tiny fraction, you see, of what you call the visible light spectrum. So anything outside this visible light spectrum, and you see they magnify the visible light spectrum under this color, different multicolor spectrum, right? Anything outside this visible light spectrum, this tiny portion, unit of this tiny band of electromagnetic frequency, you cannot know it, you cannot perceive it, you cannot understand it, right? So, and that brings me to another thing that scientists have been saying, because many scientists believe that because you cannot perceive it, they don't exist. If you cannot measure it, they cannot exist. And that is also part of that divide and conquer they brought into knowledge that happened recently. Um, if you cannot perceive it, it does not exist. That doesn't even make sense, because we know that the cosmos is infinite, right? Space is infinite. And within our solar system alone, we have billions of stars. billions upon billions of stars within our solar system alone. Within our galaxy, right? Within our galaxy, billions of stars, and we are only a tiny speck within this solar system. So for us to think and believe that there is no other life forms out there is outrageous, it's stupid, completely stupid, it's arrogant, right? And they are saying that because they don't want people to know the nature of reality. There are other intelligence out there, billions of uh, solar systems all over the place, and each solar system has billions of stars, and each star is a sun and has space bodies orbiting it. So how can we claim we're the only thing living here in this tiny speck, this part, this corner of the cosmos? It doesn't make sense. So this machine is helping them to understand that reality is beyond what we can sense, what we can smell, what we can taste, right? And the reason, for example, where people don't see spirits, they're all over the place. The reason you cannot see it is because they operate on a different band of electromagnetic frequency. They operate on a different wavelength, right? And because human perception is dense, because human is composed of this dense matter, we don't vibrate at that level if you only depend or rely on your physical senses. You cannot perceive that. So building that machine is a way of them doing what, a way of them understanding actually the nature of reality. But the problem is that they are using these machines very negatively. It's a magic. What is magic anyway? People who do magic will just bring certain objects and spray them on the ground and you make certain invocation, right? That is science in itself. So for them combining this machine, building this machine and being able to crack open, many people say they are opening the fifth dimension, dimension. And possibly what are you going to see on the other side of the spectrum when you open these dimensions? Interdimensional entities existing there, and are these dimensional entities friendly to humans? So why are they cracking these forbidden doors? Why are they opening these doors, right? That's a big question. So the website, the CERN website is telling us that one of the reasons is to open the door to yet unknown possibilities. That by them involving in this project, they intend to open the door to yet unknown possibilities. They know exactly what they're saying, but they're coding this word. They are contacting the invisible realm, the realm of interdimensional entities using using particle physics, knowledge of particle physics, right? So in their website, I picked up this statement, I lifted this statement from the website of CERN. They said, another way of revealing extra dimensions will be through production of microscopic black holes. These are kind of coded languages. They're opening certain dimensions. Just understand it that way. They're opening certain dimensions. How did we know that? What evidence to support what I'm saying? Sometime in 2016, July 2016, we see strange, bizarre phenomenon above that Large Hadron machine that CERN has established, right? We saw strange phenomenon, and many medias carried this information all over the place. We see a strange cloud formation on July 24th, 2006, above that machine system they are building, because there's something going on there, because they are cracking open the other dimensions that are not physical, right? They're cracking it open. So if you do your research, you're going to say that this is true. This is true. Something was going on there. They're opening the other dimension, if you like, the spiritual realm, using this equipment. The same thing that magicians throughout history have done over and over and over using magic or occult science. So what that large hadron machine is doing is nothing but occult science. For anyone who studied magic and science, they are one thing. They're one thing, right? So, and nothing is by mistake. Nothing is by accident. Why did they choose July 24th to carry out this mission of manifesting to the world a little bit? Just letting people know to get ready as to what is to come. Why did they choose this date? Right? If you understand Freemason, if you study secret societies, you discover that nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens. Everything is choreographed. Everything is planned ahead of time. This date, this day is a very special day for the Freemasons. It was a day of St. John the Baptist, the feast of St. John the Baptist. And St. John the Baptist is the patron saint of the Freemason. And many Christians will be shocked. How could St. John the Baptist be the patron saint of secret society? Because they're the ones who program people, who gave Christianity anyway. If you understand the history of the formation of Christianity from the 7th century, from the 4th century AD, you found out that the secret society was very central in giving humanity the brand of Christianity we have today that came out of Roman Nicaea Council in 325 AD. So the evidence is there. Something is happening. They are cracking open certain dimensions, and the science they are practicing is dark science, right? Dark science. I showed you before the picture of Shiva, and this is the picture of Shiva. I just kind of captured the leg. You see that Shiva is standing on a dwarf baby. This is the same picture that they kept in front of at that location, that where they had that large hadron collider. The picture of Shiva. Shiva is Satan, right? Standing on a dwarf baby. What does it mean? Dwarf baby represents humanity, right? And okay, let's read what I wrote here. The creature Shiva is standing on is Apasmara. Apasmara is the personification of ignorance. That is what, according to Indian mythology, Indian myth, Hindu myth, is telling us. Apasmara is the personification of ignorance. So Shiva planned to, Shiva wanted to destroy Apasmara, but realized that to maintain balance, he needs him. You have to decode this because everything is a code. Shiva wanted to destroy Apasmara, supposedly ignorance, but we know this stands for humanity because that's how these entities, these gods, see humanity as stupid, as ignorant, and they have to rule and control over human beings, stepping on them from rising, from genetic evolution. In fact, when you study the history of the creation of man from different cultural mythologies, you see that actually the gods, these entities that people call the gods, came here and genetically modified human being by altering the sequence of their DNA. And some people will tell you that before these entities came on this planet, a few thousand years ago, humanity had 12 strands of DNA, and now today we have only 2 strands. And because these entities decided to disconnect humanity from their true selves, from their whole potential, and that is why scientists up to today tell you that 97% of the human DNA is junk, because they are disconnected. These entities are suppressing humanity. And that shows here where Satan, where Shiva, that signifies Satan, is standing on a baby. The baby represents innocence of humanity, suppression, and this again is very important. You say Shiva wanted to destroy humanity, but realized that he needed him to balance. You see, standing on humanity and dancing to maintain his balance. What does balance mean? Cosmic duality. Evil, the devil cannot do with the constant duality between good and bad. He needs that duality, and humanity provides him the stepping stone. Humanity provides Shiva, or the devil, the ability to maintain that duality, because without that duality, the devil cannot lead. I'm talking of deep metaphysics now. Without duality, without the conflict, the fight of two opposites, the devil cannot exist. He needs human energy to maintain himself. To exist, he needs human. So he will keep human under perpetual ignorance, right? That is the symbolism. And don't get caught up with looking at Shiva as a human, because these are anthropomorphism. They're anthropomorphizing, right? So don't look at human beings. When they discuss, they're talking of higher level metaphysics, higher level knowledge, even though they present it in a way that people of the time will understand it. They use human because that's what we're used to. If they discuss higher level knowledge, people can't get it. So that's why they have to describe and create them in form of human beings. But these are disincarnate entities, if you like, fallen angels that are antagonistic to man, that are jealous of man, that hate man, that continue to keep humanity under genetic repression, right? That is what is going on. We see the same picture. If you see this picture is by the secret society called the Order of St. Michael and George, founded in England, Europe, in 1818. You see the same picture they have? Supposedly Angel Michael standing on the devil, but these people corrupt knowledge. It's not what they tell you that is what is happening. What is happening is, again, a dark angel, a fallen angel standing on humanity rise, disconnecting people from their basic DNA codes, attacking the human DNA, right? Because if they allow your DNA to be what it was originally made to be, you discover that you have more potential than these entities, but they have to keep people repressed, recycle people when they die over and over within this dimension, within this physical thought density dimension, because they need that energy to feed. Because without feeding on people's soul energy, these entities cannot exist. So you see Queen Elizabeth, you see all these medals sometimes they give to people, very dark, very occult. You see the medal of Queen Elizabeth, because these people practice all kinds of dark magic. You see, they tell you that Angel Michael is standing on the devil, but that is not what is going on, because they invert knowledge, they deceive people, they convert knowledge, they make what is true to be lie and what is lie to be true, so that people are confused all the time. So what that means is a fallen angel standing over, stepping and trampling on human beings, on man, on humanity, and preventing them from evolution to the next stage of consciousness. They have to repress your consciousness by feeding you with garbage. The same thing you see in this one, Shiva, the devil, standing on a baby. The same thing with this one, which they have told us is Michael standing on the devil, right? That is not true. What is happening is a fallen angel repressing humanity, right? That is the true knowledge. That is what it is. And because if it is Angel Michael, how come this order of St. Michael and St. George, this secret society is utilizing the same image as their logo, their symbol? These people rule this entire planet. And many knowledge, all the knowledge that people have here, they're the ones who provide people with whether religious or educational knowledge or political knowledge. They're the ones who propose all these things. They're the ones who put them out. And the intention is to distract people from actually knowing what is going on, because they need you to remain in ignorance, entrapped. They need you under their feet to be able to maintain their reign. Once you wake up, they cannot have access to you anymore. They don't like it. They will use what it is: political power, military force, education, religion, to suppress your consciousness from awakening, right? So again, you see Shiva dancing, right? Don't get caught up with the drawing of human being with multiple hands. This is anthropomorphism. I need you to picture in your mind a fallen angel that is not human being, a disincarnate entity, the devil, if you want. Energy that is not physical, is disincarnate, doesn't have physical density, right? And controlling humanity. That is what they are telling you. And that is the picture that they have in front of that project they have in Europe, where they clash atoms, because they are cracking the other door to the other dimension. And they are telling you who they are. These people are in the dark. These people are Satanists. These people are in the evil side. Don't get caught up with the programming, the official programming they dish out to you in TVs and in the universities, because they lie. They're lying. So Shiva is among the fallen angels, and he's having the Lord Shamash or Ra, right? Ra, other fallen angel. Whenever you hear any of this name or anyone who is worshiping any of these things, or run away from them, because these are dark people, right? You hear Moloch, Marduk, Dagon, Dracula, Sabazius, Samael, Set, Azazel, Chemosh, Typhoon, Demogorgon, Baal, Dambala, Beelzebub, Mephistopheles. Whenever you hear, and many other more of these names of this rebellious spirit who fell from the original position and ruling this planet, whenever I hear this name, run away, because they are in the dark. That's my point. And people don't know this unless you begin to study the history of the occult. When you understand this, you see what is going on here, that the so-called science project they have there is an occult project. It is an occult project of the dark side, of the dark diabolical side. And as I say, the intention was to crack open the other dimension. Many people say they're opening the fifth dimension. And what are they going to be inviting on this planet when they open these doors, right? That is humanity. All of humanity are trapped within this third density thinking, within this third density dimension. And there are things, there are people who do that, and they continue to do that. And when you're about to awaken, they do something, some magical formula to continue to keep people trapped under the system matrix we have of politics, of religion, of education, something educational, which is actually miseducation. Because through education, we liberate our people. But the education we have now will make people believe they are scientific while they are ignorant, right? So the point is that they told you what they are, but you did not believe them. You didn't believe them. They told you who their master is. That's why they put the statue of Shiva, Satan, in front of that project, right? Shiva is described as having triple powers. One of them is that he's a generator, another is a preserver and destroyer. Shiva is described in the mythos. And please, many people think that mythology is just superstition. If you want to understand the world, go back into reading all world mythologies. That is where truth lies. That is why truth lies, because it's a code. When you understand how to decode mythology, signs, symbols, and simulacras of different societies, you understand the world better. You will even understand science better, right? So one of the attributes of Shiva is the destroyer. And where again did we have this name, destroyer? I'll tell you soon. So this is one of the officials of that project, Sergio Bertolucci. This name sounds Italian. He's the official director of research and scientific computing at CERN, right? He was quoted to have said in the Register is a journal, some time ago, that out of this door, you see, using occult language, using occult code, right? Out of this door. What door is it talking about? Portals. They're opening portals. They're opening hyperdimensional realms. That's what they're doing. And he tells you, see, out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. Fuck. They told you, but people don't pay attention. People don't pay attention because they think everybody's everybody, and because they say science is science. They're doing occult. And these people are in the dark side of things. They're not in the light, right? Again, we see Shiva dancing. This dance is called this movement is called Shiva as Nataraja. Nataraja is the lord of the dance. What dance are they talking about? Cosmic destruction. When he's dancing performing certain dance ritual. Remember, we're talking of vibration. Don't get caught up with describing this entity as human being, because they're not human beings, they're energy forms, right? So when he is vibrating in certain pattern, is causing destruction. And destruction is targeted towards your DNA, which is going on today with all the 5G they're putting all over the place. All these radiations all over the place, targeting your very basic DNA. The two-strand DNA that you have, they're targeting it. They're mutating it because they're keeping you from higher level of consciousness, right? Keeping humanity down under their feet, right? That's what's going on. So when Shiva performs the Rudra Tandava dance, it signifies cosmic destruction. Remember what we said before, that Shiva said he will not destroy humanity, he will use humanity as a balance. You have to understand the duality of nature. Duality only happens within the lowest fallen realm. In the purest light, you don't have duality. So duality happens because of the fallen state of man. And duality is maintained by two forces fighting. And Shiva would not completely destroy humanity. He rather recycle humanity through reincarnation than to destroy them, right? Recycle, because he needs to feed off of human energy. He needs human beings to balance. Once you understand that in the higher realm, the devil does not really have power. The power he has is your ignorance. And he uses your ignorance to maintain cosmic existence. Plain and simple. So again, their target, see, Shiva standing on a baby. The baby signifies innocence. The baby signifies eternity, regeneration, because the soul is eternal. But then when your soul incarnate here, they have to keep you down. They have to keep you down. Everything you've learned, every knowledge you possessed, these dark forces are stepping on your consciousness from arising. That is why from childhood, they have to program you very, very well, either with religion or with education from elementary school. Program that your view of the world is controlled from forces that you don't even know exist, right? Don't even know exist. So Shiva as the destroyer. Where again did we see an entity referenced as the destroyer? It is in the book of Revelation. Their king is the angel from the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek, Apollyon, the destroyer. That is Shiva, the same entity that these European scientists, these world elite scientists, these occult magicians have decided to install in front of the Large Hadron Collider that they have built in Europe, right? They told you who they are. They told you who they are and what they are doing. But when they tell you who they are, why not believe them? You don't believe them because you don't know, right? Look at the logo of CERN. The logo, if you see this and decode it, you know they're talking of 666. It's a code. This is their logo, 666. See the symbols of 6 all over the place. 666. That means these people are working for the dark side. They're working for the dark side. I am going to stop here so far. Please subscribe to my channel. This is the Wisdomization Forum, and I am the Wisdomizer. See you next time. Stay awake, stay informed, stay conscious.